So hello and welcome. So this is a new video that I'm doing as part of my soccer coaching video series that I've been putting together. So I want to talk about refereeing and how the game needs to be improved in terms of the VAR and refereeing. Now I do understand that referees take a lot of stick. Even when they, make a good decision, it can still be questioned. I don't like it when players surround the referee. I think that is kind of like bullying the referee and such. But the captain of the club should then step in and talk to the, same as rugby, where they talk to the captain of the club and say, look, can you control that player that's doing foul, bad tackles? Can you keep an eye on that player, and make sure he doesn't keep doing bad tackles, because the last thing you want is someone to break someone's leg when it comes to playing football. And sometimes players can be reckless in that way. So you do need to, referee matches because of that reason. But my issue is that it's not consistent enough. And the VAR seems to be made more complicated than what it is. For me, how I would structure it, I would have two cameras looking behind the player, looking in front of the player, and looking either side. And it should be the VAR that should have the final decision, and I don't think it should be overruled by the referee on the pitch, because what's the point of having VAR if the referee on the pitch can override their decision? It should be their final. It should be the other way around, that the VAR, the referees that are doing the VAR, should be the ones that make the final decision, because I think that would make the game easier. It will stop there being gaps while the referee watches it on the screen of whether there was a foul or not. Because what's the point of having VAR if the referee can then go over to the side of the pitch and check it out himself, when the point of VAR is they do that, not the referee on the pitch, So that's where I find it's not consistent enough, because especially because I've talked about diving. Diving I hate. Diving is what it is. It's cheating and it's time wasting. And I'm glad that referees are starting to track down on it, because it's not fair that a player gets sent off when he didn't even touch the player, because then that player ends up getting suspended and then can't play in the next match. So how is that fair? It's not fair. The other thing is handball. Now I always used to say that handball's handball, but actually no. When it's accidental, it's different, because the player had no intention of using the arm to hit the ball, but the ball's just hit the player's arm. Why he'd been trying to kick it away. And so in that respect, it shouldn't be a penalty. But if it's a blatant handball, then yes, it does. And again, that's where if the referee didn't see it clearly, they should then go to the VAR and say, well, was that a penalty, was it not? And they can look either side, front of the play, and then behind the two players that he's concerned with, to then override the decision of the referee, and to say that yes, that should be that was a blatant handball, it is a penalty, and that's all they need to do. And how do you manage a team? How do you manage your football team when decisions aren't going your way? Well, obviously I'm not a professional football manager, but I've coached a football team. For me, it would be that I would say to the players that if you do get badly tackled, not to retaliate, because as soon as you retaliate, they are the ones that end up getting sent off. Also, to well, if a player goes down, if you put out your foot and you know that player's going to go down, pull your foot away, put your hands up and say, no, I didn't touch him. And that's what you should be teaching players. So if before that player dives over that player's foot, if he moves back and puts his hands up like that, it proves that they didn't actually touch the player, and he's just gone down because he couldn't get the ball and wants to fall to the floor, because that is cheating at the end of the day. So I do think that. And also when coaching kids football, you would put the score sheet on a internet site that you'd be given access to, and you put down the players that played, who scored goals, and you also mark the referee. And I think that should be the same in top flight football as well, because as soon as a manager or a player has a go at a referee, they are then often suspended from watching it in the dugout. But they are allowed to be angry, because sometimes referees do make bad mistakes, and it should be marked on, because that's the only way the FA can see, well, okay, that referee didn't do his job correctly, perhaps that referee needs more training, perhaps he should be refereeing in kids games just to get used to it again, just to see that perhaps he needs to go back to drawing board and work with kids, so gain more experience before he then goes back to refereeing first team football. And I do think that the managers should be able to say, well, that referee didn't have a good game today. We got defeated, and every decision that we should have had, it wasn't given, and the same with the opposite team. Now, obviously, if you're winning and you find that the referee's making poor decisions, should you still react? Yes, definitely, because come what we win, sometimes it disguises the fault of the referee. But if a player's been sent off and you've still won, you should still be able to appeal to that player being sent off if he didn't deliberately foul a player. So that's what is my opinion when it comes to VAR and that. And when it comes to being, what I would say is, sometimes you can't fix football matches, because when it's not your day, sometimes it's just not. It's not going to happen. It could be the players are just too overwhelmed by the fact that their decisions are not going their way. It can be due to frustration. So I would then say, well, okay, so that game didn't go well. Let's work out what we could have done that's different. But also, then they should be able to discuss with the FA to say, right, we played the game on Saturday, and even though we worked hard, no decision was going our way. I want to appeal to the referee and not report him, but give feedback on his refereeing, because he obviously needs to be retrained, or needs more training in order to get the decisions correctly, because a referee's decision can alternate a game of football, and that shouldn't be the case. It should be about the players playing football, not about the referee as such. The referee is there to make sure that it's played fairly, which is you need referees, and I'm not saying that you don't, you do, but they also need to be informed and told if they're doing a good job or they're doing a bad job. That's the only way that the FA can improve affiliates and get good referees managing football matches, because it then makes it easier for the managers to run their football team and to get them ready for match days, and not worrying about getting booked or being sent off. If you play fairly and you're not doing tackles from behind, you're just fighting for the ball, then that's footballers doing their job. It doesn't mean that the whistle needs to go. It doesn't mean that they're being malicious. They're just playing the game of football, and the referee is there to make sure that they don't kick each other, obviously, but they respect each other as opponents. But the game should still be allowed to be played as one team will lose, one team will win, or if it's a draw, then it levels things up. But if you have been defeated and you feel that the referee's had a bad day, and you're coaching youth level, then do mark them down and be honest about it, because that's the only way they're going to improve. And I remember one football match where they didn't have an affiliate. It was somebody's dad that refereed that game, so he could still go ahead, but he made some really bad decisions. He left a kid lying on the floor, injured, one of mine, and he completely ignored it, and I had to mark him down because that was dangerous. You know, the kids level, he went down very, you know, badly, and he didn't even see the player that went down. So if you are running a football team, always make sure that your club has a proper affiliate to referee those matches. Don't let it be someone's dad, or you know, or if there is I mean, I would say that if there are parents that would like to do refereeing, because it is a good platform, because that could really help, you know, with the club, then do so. Same with coaching. You don't have to be a professional footballer to do a coaching badge. And in fact, I think it was the FA that was working with McDonald's at the time that was encouraging parents to become football managers and manage football teams, because that's a good way of doing it, you know. But at the same time, you need to make sure the matches are affiliated correctly, so players are not left injured on the floor, even at youth level, and it needs to be consistent, you know. And they need to work at the VAR, as I've explained, to make it a lot less complicated and make it straightforward, you know. It's same with coaching. I mean, they talk about the 4-corner flag, but from my own experience and coaching the football team and following football for a long time, I've got my little gun in this now. Let's do that. What was I saying? I was on the train of thought. What's happened? But basically, all you need to do is if you want to do your coaching badges, do it voluntarily for now. But do get involved in the game, because it is a great way of, you know, improving your kids' football. Obviously, you can't favour anybody when coaching, but what you can do is that, you know, make sure that the matches are run smoothly and correctly. On the VAR, that was it. So the VAR, you know, needs to be a lot better in terms of quickness, and should make the final decision when it comes to football matches. So I'd like to know what your opinion is on it. I've got to say that, you know, I think the way the clubs have managed themselves through lockdown has been magnificent. I haven't watched that many matches because I do miss the crowds, and I just because I've been out of the game for a while, it's taken me a long time to get back into it, to be honest. But it is something that I enjoy doing, and hopefully at some point that I'll be able to, you know, work in football again, as well as, you know, doing dancing, performing, and that kind of thing. But you know, football it can be for everybody that enjoys the game, and you know, I think the way, you know, the clubs have managed themselves, I mean, lots of them are, you know, would have lost a lot of money because of COVID, but the way they've spun back and kept it going has been phenomenal in my book, you know. So, and the other thing I want to talk about in another video is about bringing in more English players and British players into sides, because I don't feel that they are making the most, some clubs, of the youth squad of players. So that's it, really. You know, I would always say that, you know, never be too harsh on yourself if you do lose games, because sometimes that's how you see the mistakes, and you can always pick it up in the next game. Not every game is going to go your way as much as you'd like it to. So Chelsea, they have often had a really bad start, and then they've come into their own around about December, and then been unstoppable. So sometimes you need to take the rough with the smooth. But just, you know, keep your wits about you, and work with your players, not to them, but with them. Sit down and chat with them, you know, and and pardon me, and work with all the areas of a football club But you know, my main priority is to pick the team and get them ready for each match. You can't always control decisions of the game, but like I say, I think what would make it easier is if professional football managers were able, along with the players as well, because perhaps they should also mark the referee, or perhaps it should be that I would have the manager and the captain of the club to be the ones who can appeal against the referee because of his decisions in the match. I do think they need to, you know, crack down on falling on the floor, because it's still happening a lot. And diving, it just is one of my pet hates. I've got no time for it, you know. So anyway, I've rambled on for too long. I'm going to finish this video now. I will be talking about more about training youth players and, you know, other aspects of the game. But for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Take care.